This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
So, Mr. Tabor, we'll start you right there as we welcome you in. Are you a fan of any movie remakes that they've been doing the last few years relative to what they had back in the day?
Well, you're talking about The Longest Yard. That was the first time it came out. It was fantastic. And then they redid it, and they had some of the same scenes, throwing the football at the guy in the privates and knocking him down, and so I can say that right. Yeah. Anyway, it was a great movie the first time. The second one was good. The first one was just a lot better.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. All right, let's talk some baseball, Scott. So we've seen a variety of catchers these first couple games, and I know that position is different than it was back in the day. You just had one guy that did it. Some pitchers nowadays have their specific catcher, whether it's in college or the majors. But, I mean, when do you think Dave has to have that position relative to the others figured out? Who's going to be catching this team predominantly this year?
Well, you brought up a good point. Back in the day, you said you just used one. Well, generally, you just had one that really separated himself from the rest of the field. This bunch, they're all good. They all bring a little bit different, something different to the plate. Hudson Polk goes in, he finally gets his chance to play, and he hits a grand slam. They talked about his power this fall, so he got at least put that on display. And I think he trusts all four of them, which is a good problem to have. And so, because there's going to be injuries, and there's going to be multiple games, in a few days. There's going to be heat to deal with, and they get, foul tips off the knuckles and the leg and the knee, and to get dinged up, and they, rather than still having to play and be at 50%, he's got somebody else to turn to, and there's not going to be a drop-off. So I think he's got a great problem.
Yeah. We got to talk about Hagen Smith and what happened last weekend in Arlington. Put it in perspective what he accomplished last week in those 6 innings, 17 strikeouts, what the pitching staff as a whole accomplished that night. What was going through your mind as you watched that game unfold and the way Arkansas dominated from the mound in a very exciting college baseball game? Yeah,
it was. I've only seen one other performance like that. I've played in Alaska, in the Alaskan League at the Midnight Sun game. They don't turn the lights on, and it got cloudy. And our pitcher was a flamethrower, Ron Romanek, and I think in 8 innings he had 18 strikeouts. They couldn't see. This is a little different. They actually had lights on, and it looked like they couldn't see. His fastball was just electric, and you could see a lot of guessing. You could see swings stop halfway through when just at the time they think they're on the ball, and it just disappears with a slider or a changeup, and you can just see them wave at it, walk back, and shake their head. And it wasn't because they were guessing wrong, because they just had no solution to what he was throwing. This pitching staff overall, I'm looking at some stats, and just the number of strikeouts per inning, it shows the quality of arms and the fact that they're flooding the strike zone now. I think, and it's kind of contagious for the whole pitching staff. Nobody's scared of the strike zone. So they're trusting this stuff and just filling it up.
Yeah. You look at his velocity, 90, upper 90s on his fastball, the slider. I was reading, it's still in the low 90s later in the game. Right. That's got to be the stuff that makes scouts just makes their mouths water a little bit.
Well, I guarantee you, I was watching. You could see some of the scouts in the background watching. You'd see them throw a couple of pitches and kind of shake their head and write some stuff down, and they're trying to figure out if we can stop his season now and go ahead and bring him in. They have to be drooling, because everybody needs a left-hander that's just untouchable, because lefters are at a premium anyway. And he's gotten better and better and better. What's fantastic to see is he's living up to his billing coming out of high school. I remember reading when he had 7 no-hitters his senior year, just untouchable. And you go, really, is he that good? He's that good, and he's just gotten better and better and better, which is good to see.
Scott Tabor with us here via the McCarty-Dana hotline. And to your point about Hagen, so Hagen kind of took the Traylon Burks route. He didn't really leave Bullard. He just kind of did his thing in high school, didn't do a lot of camps or anything, wasn't as highly recruited as maybe he could have been, but still had the accolades in high school. What does that say for kids today, again, that maybe stay in their hometown or don't do travel, Paul, or AAU in basketball? Where can you find, Scott, in some cases baseball, kids like that really just kind of stay put where they're at?
Well, back when I was growing up, we didn't have travel ball. Heck, we didn't even have high school. So there was no travel ball, there was no camps, there was no being graded for a perfect game and for all the other area code games where coaches could that's how they grade them. That's how they rate them. This guy's rated number 1 in the state of Arkansas. Well, maybe not be the number 1 player. He's the number 1 guy who goes to camps and gets graded. And so there's always kids that just don't have that opportunity to get seen, and it's turned into a tricky situation for high school kids. Not everybody has the money to go to those camps, and not everybody's parents can take off work and take them and do all those things that need to be done anymore, because coaches don't go to high school games. They just don't do it. Coach Bryan used to depend on coaches to call them. Hey, we got a kid here. I think you ought to take a look at, or people that he trusted. But if you're good, if you're a really, really, really exceptional talent, baseball will find you. If you're throwing in your mid-90s, baseball will find you. Somebody sees it, and they went down and watched him in person, and that's the best barometer you can have, is watching a kid in person. You get their demeanor. You can see how they act on the mound. Are they a brat? You don't want to bring in problems. Doesn't matter how hard they throw. So he did it right. He did it his way, and he did it right. Like I said, he's one of the few that really come in ranked as high as they are. But the ranking wasn't on somebody else's ranking; it was on his talent, and he's lived up to it. It's fantastic.
So, speaking of finding, Arkansas seemed to have found a gem in Mason Molina, who is, I think, second team All-Big 12 at Tech, and has really performed admirably so far in his first couple starts. You've watched a lot of Arkansas baseball, Scott. Has Dave had a rotation starting like this with these 3 guys?
I don't believe at the beginning of the season he has. I think he's had opportunities for that, and it seems like always the Friday night guy will get hurt preseason, or somebody will get hurt pretty quick. And you're always looking for that third guy. You spend the whole season looking for that third guy, and sometimes somebody falls into that. They get a little better during the season. But I don't think going into a season, he's had, here's my 3 guys, and we're going to build the team around that. And because it makes it easier to build anything if you have a good base, and he's got a good base. He's got exactly what he needs, and he can bring in a lefty behind a righty and a righty behind a lefty and a long guy. Bring in McIntyre, or he can bring in Fisher, or bring in some guys for long or from short, and he's still trying to figure that out. And what a great problem to have. When you don't have your lineup set after playing as much baseball as they have, because they've got a lot of talent. It's not like you've got 9 guys that can play and the rest of them are going to be scrubs. You've got a whole team full of talent. The same on the pitching staff. It's somebody's going to get their feelings hurt, and hopefully the championship team is made up of a team where everybody knows everybody wants to contribute, no matter what level. So you kind of wait your turn and get your shot and do your job, and all of a sudden you're in Omaha, and then things are bright.
Scott Tabor with us on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. Our visit brought to you by Alumni Hall. All right, Murray State this weekend. You got 3. You play UCA on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock next week. What's important? What do we need to learn out of these next 3 or 4 games, Scott, with how the lineup's managed? What are you looking for over these next 3 or 4 games?
Coach still looking for that magic elixir. Who's out there putting in the effort? They see practice every day. Who's really, really getting after it and batting practice and taking ground balls and taking them serious and not just sloughing off. Pitchers getting in games, they're trying to earn trust. The coach has to know what he's putting out there. If they put, if they put one of the new guys in, one of the younger guys in, if they put Dawson back in, and he's got some great stuff. If he goes in, he can't throw a strike. Well, he's not going to trust him to bring him in the weekend game because he can't throw strikes in the midweek game. So, you're just earning trust. That's all you're doing. You're throwing coins into the bucket, and hopefully he'll put you out there when it comes time for conference.
Yeah. Sounds like they're working Stovall back. He's not ready to return to the lineup, but he's been, swinging the bat a little bit from a chair, Dave said. He's standing behind a net at, taking some, as pitchers are working in the cages. What do you think the infield looks like when Stovall does get back?
Oh, man, I don't know. I just love Holt. I love Peyton Holt. Excuse me. But, Sprague Lott, he's a great hitter. So you got to move Peyton somewhere. You don't want to take him out of the lineup. At least I wouldn't. I just love the way he plays. What I'm interested to see is if Stovall comes back and he playing good second base, but he's not hitting. How long do you stay with him? How long do you say, well, he'll get it? Well, you can't get into SEC play, and he still hit the buck 10. He's making good plays in the field. You got a lot of good players in the field. You got guys hitting 450, 330 that can play the same position. So it'll be interesting to see how long he stays with it if that happens. I don't think it will. I think Stovall's going to come out and just be on fire. I'd like to see Holt go to third base and I don't know, Spraglott DHing. I don't know. You have so many options. It's just hard to tell.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.